Hey, ambitious dentist, welcome to Start Your Dental Practice, the show for existing and aspiring dentists to take your dental practice to the highest possible level. I'm your host, Jonathan Van Horn, CPA and ABV, founder of dentistmetrics.com. In every episode, we aim to demystify the how to start a dental practice problem by bringing on world-class dentists, influencers, and consultants in the dental industry to pick their brain about how to get past the barriers involved from going from no practice to being a practice owner to owning your own successful dental practice. Happy New Year, SYDP fans. I hope the first days of 2017 have gotten off to a great start. I'm honored to have you be a part of the SYDP community. Now, look, if you're like me, you're probably feeling super excited at all the things you're going to accomplish in 2017. You're finally going to get to go to the gym. You're finally going to get to hit that monthly revenue goal. You're going to get to hire your first, second, or even fifth employee. Maybe you even dare to dream of having a vacation. Having goals and being excited are a really good thing. But as I say time and time again on the show, you have to execute. It's about the implementation. You have to do the hard work. Too often, we all look for that easy fix, the everything done solution for all our needs, and give up when our motivation fades or we don't see the instant results. Be honest, how often does that work? Probably never. Which is why I'm super excited to have my conversation shared with Michael Arias to kick off the new year. Michael is the founder of the Dental Marketer site and host of the Dental Marketer podcast, where he teaches how to take your practice to the next level through actionable ground marketing strategies. In this episode, you'll notice Michael truly is a go-getter in every sense of the word, and I don't think the word excuse exists in his vocabulary. Here are just a few things you're going to hear about today. Why your dental brand is so important and how to stand out. The boots-on-the-ground marketing strategies that actually work. The no excuses way to get more patients in the door. How to build patient pipelines that will bring you customers day after day, and much more. At the end of the episode, you'll also find out where to get Michael's "How many patients should my practice be attracting?" checklist. So be sure to listen all the way through this entire episode to get access to that. Now, here's my interview with Michael Arias. Hello, ambitious dentist. Today, I have with us Mr. Michael Arias. Michael is the host of the Dental Marketer podcast. He's also the owner of the dentalmarketer.site, which I think is a pretty interesting URL for a website owner, or as a website owner myself. He has this really interesting niche that is something that I find so many dental practices miss out on. And they don't focus on it because they don't realize that it's important. And it has to do with your marketing. The marketing that exists in dental practices, a lot of people like to talk about mailers and, digital marketing, websites, advertising, all these, really, really fancy things. And sometimes they kind of forget about some of the basics that actually attracts patients. And that missing element to me is being a part of your community, to be, on the ground, actually doing the work of being a part of your community so that patients actually come back to you. I was sharing with Michael earlier, actually I have a client right now that is considering moving and selling their practice because they actually don't live in the town where their practice is located. They commute in and they commute out, and they're saying, I can't get new patients. I can't get new patients. Why can't I get any new patients? And it's exactly because of this. It's because they're not a part of the community. They're not a part of the community, and they don't have the practice being a part of that, ecosystem inside of their local area. And so Michael's company helps people, it helps practices understand how to be on the ground and do marketing in dental practices to help with this critical part of the marketing element in dentistry. So Michael, thank you so much for coming on today.
No, man, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here, man.
So tell me a little bit about how you got started in the dental industry and marketing and all that kind of stuff.
So my story, I've been doing marketing and advertising for about over a decade now. But in the dental field, I've been doing it for about like half of that time, like about 5 to 6 years. And it started, I used to be a nutritionist, and I used to build up a company called MyFit Foods. And it started off in Sugar Land, Texas. I'm from Texas. And then they needed help in Southern California, Newport, to build up the company. And so I went, they put me over here in Newport to build up the MyFit Foods over here. And it was going good. I mean, I really wasn't doing too much nutrition. I was doing more marketing and advertising and probably 10% nutrition. And in that process, I bumped into a dental consultant. And we were talking, and he was telling me how he has a couple practices who need new patients, and like his problem with the practices. And he was telling me how he likes, digital marketing, social media marketing. That's essential now. And he understands that, but he wishes he had someone who can just attract new patients in real time, like almost immediately. If someone were to say, I need new patients in 3 days, at least like 3 or 4, someone has to go out and get that. So I asked him, I was like, oh, why don't you just, hire someone to do that? And he says he's tried people, but they've kind of, lasted 2 weeks and quit or failed. And so I decided to give it a shot. And he gave me 1 week to attract, I don't know, as many patients as I could, but 1 week. And he kind of just put me out there. He said, you know what, I don't know what you're going to do, how you're going to do it, when you're going to do it. Just go out there and find people. And so the next day I went and tried to look for, new patients. I went business to business, not house to house, but like business to company. I went and tried to go inside all these other corporations. And in 7 hours, I was only able to attract one new patient, which that new patient is still a patient of that dental practice till today. So I kind of thought, you know what, if I keep doing this, it's going to go good. So the next day, it took me 13 hours to attract one new patient. And then I started thinking, this is going to take too much out of me. You know what I mean? Like it's too much, all those hours and only attracting one new patient. So I decided to start trying to build systems, tactics, techniques, and all these other things to implement into my strategies, into my ways of doing things. That way, like I can work smarter, not harder, Mm-hmm. So then, it started working out. It started to work out. I started to be able to attract, quite a bit of new patients through systems and pipelines. And what I mean by pipelines is, so for example, say I go into Walmart, right, or Target, and I don't just want to attract the cashiers, right? I want to attract the employees, the stock, the overnight people and everything. So I create a pipeline through that. And so what I mean is I get, you build rapport with the human resource, you build rapport with the managers and things like that. And then eventually they're going to see you as an exclusive dentist for, that Target or that Walmart or whatever. And then there's a pipeline right there. So every other week or so, I would go just do like a lunch and learn, talk to the employees, and then just have the sign up sheets and be like, look, guys, this is for you and your family. Obviously, you got to find out an incentive for them as well. Like, for example, say every Target employee, you talk to them and they said, you know what I hate is, or the majority would tell you, like, what I hate is that how implants are so expensive. So then you can say, you know what, all right, implants for you guys is like this percent off, or, you know what I mean? You just specific incentive for them. So I would create pipelines, and then just a new patient flow through there. And then I would try and create pipelines through there. And I started seeing it work. And then another important thing was creating a brand for the community. Like as far as the dental practice, like they needed a brand. They needed to be something exclusive and a niche for the community. And I started doing that. And then, I just started loving it. And it became so easy for me. And I started wondering why, not everybody's doing it. And I guess the hard part is for other people is to know where to start. Once you know where to start and how to start marketing and ground marketing and attracting these new patients, because every day or so, me and my team have or the people I train, they have every day somewhere to set up, like a booth. You know what I mean? Like at events or fairs or lunch and learns or something. They're never not doing anything. There's always someone out there. But anyways, that's how I started. So I started 10 years ago pretty much, and then 5 years, and then here I am now.
So boots on the ground, what kind of things were you saying to these people when you were walking into these businesses to be like, hey, does anybody need a dentist? And then if they say no, you just walked out, or what was going on? So at first I started off with, I asked the dentist, like, give me some type of incentive, because everything kind of works on incentives as far as I can see. And he would be like, okay, I just offer them like a free teeth whitening or something. So I would just walk in and say like, who wants a free teeth whitening? And that didn't work. Like I thought that would work immediately, like everybody, run to me. No, it didn't work. It's more like a building rapport. So I started, what I kind of do now is I kind of
ball it, like in the sense, like how long has that dentist been around? 5 years. Okay, I'm pretty sure somebody like right next to you, like there's a Big Five or a Target or something right next to you. I'm pretty sure like somebody from there has tried going into your office. So I would just walk in, and I'd immediately either ask to speak to, like a manager or human resource, mainly human resource. And when it's human resource, they kind of come out with the expectation like, oh, he's going to ask for a job and he wants to just, speak to me for that. So I kind of just talk to them and, say like, about their business. Oh, how's everything going? Is everything nice? And then they start, I warm up to them. And then I ask them in the sense like, I've had a couple of your employees in the past come to our practice. I was wondering if I can just bring you guys some free stuff, like toothbrushes or something. And then almost like 99% always are like, yeah, I guess you can bring something, just don't like market like crazy or anything like that. Just see what you can do. Cause I've kind of already built that report. I've used that script already just to go straight to it without building the report. And they kind of rejected me. Mm-hmm. So if I start building the rapport and then, talk to them and say, can I bring some stuff? And then once I bring some stuff, I'll bring them stuff. People kind of see, I'll bring a sign-up sheet too as well. I'll probably get like 5 signups. And then I'll come back and say like, hey, you know what, can I bring more? Or can I do this for you guys? And then from that point on, it keeps building. It just depends really on the company. Like, major corporations are very strict. Like they don't mm-hmm. want you to be into their, I guess, area or culture of their company. But other small businesses and banks and things like that, or just communities, they're not as strict. So it's a lot easier. I can just walk in there and say like, hey guys, you know what, I want to offer you guys some stuff. Or there's always a script for everything. Like I have a script literally for like any type of business. So it just depends.
Yeah. So we had one of my favorite stories that was shared on the podcast was Howard Ferron is the founder of Dental Town. And we were either it was my podcast or his podcast. He was talking about whenever he got started, he actually went door to door in residential neighborhoods trying to get people to sign up for actual becoming patients. So this was back in like the 70s or 80s or whenever he started. I think it was the 80s. And he said he didn't have anything else to do, so he would literally walk the streets with his appointment book. And he said he did that like every weekend for a year. And he, it's after a year, he had 3 hygienists booked up every day for forever. So, to me, whenever I've explained to other people, I was like, that is a lot of work. And in today's society, that's probably going to be frowned upon a lot more than it was back then. So, I think targeting businesses is a really smart way to kind of approach the one to many. So you don't have to, it's not one to one as in like, I'm just talking to this guy about it. I'm talking to this guy who is in control of, 100 other people that can broadcast that message for us. And, he said, set up those pipelines. So I think that's really smart. So, what type of businesses do you typically recommend practices, target or try and, reach out to? And, it's not really even marketing to, it's almost like a strategic alliance of saying like, hey, if you let your employees know about us, we'll give them some benefits. Cause it's very symbiotic in that regard. Right.
Mm-hmm, yeah. It honestly just depends on like the type of patients you're looking for. So if a dental practice is looking for, just cash patients, they don't want no insurance or anything like that. A really, really good place to go are honestly hotels. Hotels, like the housekeeping and all that stuff, they really don't provide their employees, as long as over here in California, they really don't provide their employees so much with, benefits.
Sure.
So if you were to go there, I mean, from what I've seen so far, like I'm speaking from my own experience, what I've seen is a lot of them are, when they welcome me with like so much open arms, they gather their whole staff, night shift, morning shift and everything to hear me talk about, hey guys, look, I want to give you this for, the people who don't have insurances for you and your families. And they're so appreciative. They sign up, they come. I mean, honestly, hotels and motels, if you're looking for just like cash, to me, I've seen that work. But also any other type of business. I mean, you can't really go to like a corporation or something who gives you, Delta dental PPO insurance and then want to offer them like, hey, free exams. They're not going to care about that. They're just going to say, I get that anyways. It just really depends on the type of patients you're looking for. Like, what's your target niche? What's your avatar? Once you figure that out, then that's when we can start going and, figuring out which businesses to head to, where not to head to. If you're even in the right community, if you're not in the right community, we can go to the right community. I mean, it doesn't matter so much. For example, say like you're in city A and your dentistry is in city A, and the patients that you want are in city B, right? we can still do that. We can still make it happen. We just have to figure out, we just have to make your practice so valuable to them that, you know, the commute really doesn't, they don't think about it. They don't matter. And there's a lot of people who do that. There's a lot of people who, you know, the commute doesn't matter. They're like, oh, I have a fantastic dentist. I drive 45 minutes to see him all the time. I don't really care about the commute. So you kind of have to just build that value. So honestly, a lot of it has to depend on the target niche that the dentist wants to have in their practice. And then after that, that's when we can kind of figure out the type of companies or businesses to go to.
So let's say that, you know, that you're in a, you know, a fairly, you know, decent sized town, you know, not, so number one, a decent sized town in Arkansas is a lot like a decent sized town in Texas. You know, there's giant, you know, well, in Arkansas, you know, there's not that many sprawling metropolises. In Texas, there's Dallas and Houston and San Antonio and Austin. But you know, in Texas, there's plenty of really small communities as well. How does someone in, you know, is the message and the way that you do this the same in small town Arkansas as you do in, you know, San Diego or SoCal or whatever it is?
Like I said, a lot of it has to depend on the type of patients that they want. So, I mean, sometimes it will be the same, the scripts, and sometimes like the strategies, they obviously have to be different. Like a lot of people, like I told you, they don't care about, you know, the certain type of incentives in a bigger community than in a smaller community. It's like I told you, yeah, it just depends on the type of avatar that the dentist wants. If, for example, if it's a small town community and it depends on the population. So if it's a small town and then if dentistry is already saturated there, then we'd have to just figure out a different way to make that approach, like a different reason for them to come to you. You know what I mean? Because honestly, out of every place I've been to, out of every community I've gone to, because I worked with, you know, dentists in Houston, I worked with dentists in small town Kerrville, you know, in Texas and things like that. And honestly, I've always seen dentists or people looking for a dentist. There's never not people looking for a dentist. They just have to be out there. They have to be either set up outside of just like a gas station or wherever they let you set up, or like in big communities, you can be set up inside companies. So it really just depends on where you're at that moment as well.
You know, and that's missed so often. Like you said, everyone's always looking for the new patients, but there are not many people are actually out there looking for the new patients. They want the new patients. They say that they're looking for it, but their way of looking for it is typically, you know, I spent $10,000 on mailers this month. I mean, that's how they're looking, is they're hoping that awareness. And, you know, they say everything is cyclical and everything in business. And I feel like, you know, this used to work a long time ago. And then everybody introduced, you know, mailers and newspapers, and then, you know, it evolved into the internet and social media and all these things. And I can really give an emphasis to where, and see a point to where going out and meeting people would have a much higher chance of success than something like a mailer, just because of the fact that it's something you don't see very often nowadays. So if you're thinking out there and you're, you know, for example, I like to use the example of like a CPA firm. You know, if I was a CPA, which I obviously I am, if I was a CPA that didn't own my own business and was in public practice, and, you know, someone came in and said, hey, you don't have dental insurance, but we have a really great in-house plan that your employer has said that they're going to help sponsor for you. And, you know, he pays, if you sign up, he pays half, you pay half, and you're a part of this in-house plan. I would 100% jump on that as a young CPA. And, you know, believe it or not, even though I'm in a profession that's hard to get into profession and hard to you know, rise in, I, for the longest time, didn't even know that I was supposed to be going for recalls. I didn't even know that hygiene was, you know, I thought brushing my teeth was the hygiene that I needed before I got into this industry. So, you know, there are plenty of really great clients out there, guys, really great patients out there that you just got to go out there and do the work for. And I was having a discussion with another group of guys, and we started listening to like all the different types of service industries that are like high level service industries that this would apply to. I mean, like attorneys and financial advisors and, you know, people that are in other medical service companies that like for like orthopedics and like all physical therapy, all these places that may or may not even offer dental insurance to their employees that are small companies. And if you were to strike up a conversation with that business owner about how to have a strategic alliance, then it'd be a win-win for both of you. It'd be great for the employer, me as a business owner. If somebody did this locally for us, I'd be pretty open to doing it if I trusted the dentist. If they struck a deal with us saying, hey, I'll give your employees a member into our membership plan and do the same deal I just talked about, I would be very open to doing that over spending all the money for paying for dental insurance for everybody. So if you guys are thinking in your heads like, yeah, but I don't think that would work for me, I'm telling you, as a business owner, this would work. Like you have no excuses to why this would not work. So the next question becomes, for those dentists that are out there, because I know what they're probably thinking is like, this sounds like a lot of work. How do I as the dentist actually get this to work? And how does that happen?
Well, I don't think, as far as the dentists, I don't think they have, like, I highly doubt any dentist at this moment that's a working dentist would have like the physical time to do it. You know what I mean? It's a lot of work. You're on the ground all the time talking to people, and you're trying to create a brand, right? To put out there. So what I think would be the best option is either, you train somebody to do it, or you have like a new patient concierge, just someone who's in charge of that, someone who's specifically in charge of new patients. Like, that's one of the best things I've seen as far as over here, like dentists evolving, is they're having new patient concierge. They're having people just dedicated specifically for new patients, not anything else, just doing the phones for new patients and just doing, community events and things like that. I train them to do the community events and things like that. But for me, I honestly think that would be the best thing, is have a specific employee, maybe like a dental assistant or a front office receptionist, who does that, but also, or schedules treatment and things like that, but also goes out there and does this work, because it does take a lot. It does take a lot out of you. And the thing is, you need a lot of motivation, because you deal with rejection quite a bit. You know what I mean? And you got to get used to that. You got to get used to dealing with rejection and being out there. Sometimes you're on your feet for like 3 to 5 hours, at an event, or sometimes you're not. You're just, doing research in your community, figuring out, where to go next, or who to go to next, who to talk to, which reports you build. And then eventually you start seeing like a portfolio being built of like properties you have to visit and people you have to go see, cupcakes you have to bring and things like that. And then, new patients is just keeps flowing. It keeps flowing. And it's essential. But that's what I recommend. I recommend you hire somebody else, or you train somebody else that's already in your staff, someone who has, the ambitious, the motivation, the personality to do it. Because, small tidbits of dentistry can be taught to them, but the personality cannot be taught to them. So they have to have that type of personality where they're outgoing, as far as if you want them to be a good ground marketer.
That's really good advice. And so, naturally the next, portion of this is, how do you, if you have this person that can be doing this, is how do you get them to go out and start going? I mean, is that something that your company helps people with, is figuring out, okay, because, anyone could hire somebody and say, hey, go out to businesses and then let's, try and get more patients. But there's like you said, whenever you started doing it 5 years ago, you did it for over 20 hours of work, you got 2 patients out of it, which, isn't that bad of a return depending on how much you're paying the person. But it's not the most effective use of time. So is that something that your company helps people with actually, coming in and having these processes kind of outlined and being strategic about it?
Yeah, it is exactly, because for example, I thought, and I kind of had to force this company to come out, because I thought, just with the podcast and the information and the articles, because I do a lot of ghostwriting as well for articles, and then I thought that with this information, people would get it, and then they would just go out and do it, and we see a lot more ground marketers. But what I've come to notice is people loved it, they loved the idea, but they don't know where to start. The execution lacks, as far as they don't know what to do with it. So I guess the demand was there, where I can say, what, let me show you guys how to do it. It's simple to me. I mean, as far as that, and it's going to be eventually simple to them. My main purpose is to pretty much just duplicate myself into their practice, that way I can just get updates. You know what I mean? Like, hey, Mike, I just got in 20 new patients this week. It's fantastic. I built a rapport with, I don't know, the Boys and Girls Club or this company or whatever. And that's what I do. So I start from the very beginning. I do the employee audit with the patient to see if they're the right employee, for it. Because if they're just there for, like, oh, I have less supervision, because the ground marketer has a lot less supervision. They're not at the office. We're trusting that you're out there getting patients, but are you really? Like, you could just be at home.
Happy hour.
Yeah, or happy hour or anything like that. So
networking.
yeah, I'm networking and they're at the bar or something. So pretty much we're trusting that. So we do an employee audit, and then after that, it goes on from there. We do local market and community research. We do I do event coaching with them, because a lot of the times you're going to notice, especially in a smaller location like Beverly Hills, for example, there's a lot of dentists out there. It's very saturated, right? And so because of that, whenever you go to events and whenever you create events, because the ground marketer creates a lot of events as well out of nowhere. They'll go to companies and then they'll say, look, let's do this health fair, or let's do a hygiene day, and I'll be the part of it. And then, yeah, they'll make it happen. But they're going to notice a lot of the times as well that other dentists are going to join in. You know what I mean? Other dentistries are going to want to join in. And so it's going to be almost like competition. I don't want people to view it like that. But other dentistries view it as competition when they see you there. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, don't go to them. Come to us. We're at this event or whatever. We're here at this booth. And so I pretty much kind of coach them in the sense like, okay, that's going to happen, but you still have to be popping. You still have to be the booth that everybody goes to. You know what I mean? And I mean, I don't mean to toot my own horn or anything, but every event that I go to, like, our booth is, oh, you can just give me a paper and that's it, and not have anything to give out. And we still, create so much value. And we're still the ones, because the main purpose is you want your sign-up sheet to have hundreds and hundreds of leads, right? At an event or wherever you go to. If you just come back and you have like 2 or 3 signups, your time really wasn't, spent there. But that kind of shows me as far as if I was training your ground marketer and he comes back with 2 or 3 signups, that means like he's not, or she's not doing what she's supposed to be doing, So I also do a lot of that. I also do a lot of accountability as well, as far as we know where the ground marketer is. So yeah, pretty much that's what I do. I pretty much just train the person you want me to train after we do the employee audit, how to become just the perfect ground marketer for their community.
Perfect. And what I really like about this, like you said, the pipelines, like the thing is that process, now obviously you have to nurture the pipelines, but it's really cumulative. Like it just keeps adding on top of each other over and over and over again, because you're building these alliances. And if somebody's sending you a patient or 2 a month, and and that's a pipeline, and you every once in a while get a much more successful one that's a bigger company or whatever it is, and you just keep building those alliances over time, and that's going to be cumulative patients. That's not going to be just one-offs. It's going to be just grow. So I really, really want you guys out there to be thinking about this as far as in your own practices of ways that you can kind of take this and utilize it. And if I really feel like this is the missing key in a lot of people's marketing. When they talk to me about the fact that their marketing isn't working, a lot of the times I feel like it's because they're not out there in this community. Because like I said, even just being a part of that community, like even when I say when it's cumulative, there's even the aspect of the fact that is if everything's going right inside of your practice, then those patients should be referring you other patients too. So you're not just getting those 1 or 2 people from that place, you're getting that person plus the people they refer, as long as you're doing everything well inside of the practice and they keep coming back and back and back and back. So I really, really like this approach. And I find it astounding that there's not that many people that do it. And really, honestly, I think that the reason that not that many people talk about it is because it's hard to do. It's hard to do right. There's a lot of people that have probably floundered with it. I know I've had people talk to me, say, they've talked about talking to other businesses, and they're just like, yeah, it's not really my personality. I don't really like to talk to, I'm afraid to offer them something or to connect with somebody on things like that. There's so many little things that can be done. So I really like the idea of having an employee do it for you, as long as it's the right employee, obviously. And so, tell me a little bit about, as far as some success stories, like tell me about how, by utilizing this, you can actually, propel your practice forward.
Yeah. Just to backtrack a little bit, what you were saying about how this is essential. I think it's a good component as well. But, if you think about, the pipelines, the ground marketers still getting people, and then the digital marketing that you're doing on top of it, because, you're probably out there on social media or on websites. And then on top of that, you do the referrals. Yeah, you're always there should never be a point in time where honestly, I don't ever think there should be a point in time where a dentist looks at their schedule and says like, oh my God, we've only had like a couple new patients this month. Like it's from when I'm out there and I've talked to people, there's so many people who talk to me and tell me like, I've been looking for a great dentist, or I go to that dentist over there, but I'm looking for someone new, or I just moved here and I don't know, there's so many people looking for you guys, like the dentists out there. So just as much as you're looking for them. So I honestly think, if your ground marketing's on point, your digital marketing's on point, and your referrals are on point, then you should be booked out for like a year or more, like it should be essential. But anyways, as far as success stories, I have a lot. Like, do you want success stories with patients or like with a dentist?
With the dentist. With the
dentist? Okay. So, I mean, as far as success, what I see is like, every week or so, you get your goal. It depends, honestly, if like the patient or the dentist is in a practice that's inside a building, like an office building, not on a strip, but inside like a 18-story building. I can understand how it would be a little bit harder for them to get new patients, but still we bring new patients. So for example, some new patients like that, or some new dentists were used to getting, maybe 5 to 10 new patients a month. And then, we started coming in and I came in and I started tutoring, or not tutoring, but teaching their employee how to ground market. And from that point on, it instantly next month jumped to 50. And then after that, it jumped to 70. And then their Yelp grew a lot more too. And because of their Yelp growing, they started getting a lot more specifically from Yelp. They started getting around 15 to 20 new patients on top of their ground marketing. And then the pipelines. And here's the thing, once this practice started building the pipelines, or this ground marketer started building their pipelines for their practice, it almost became like as if the ground marketer can kind of just sit there for like 8 hours and not worry about it. And they'll all say like, oh, I came from, Michael, or I came from this ground marketer because of my, my business recommended me because we have benefits from you guys or whatever, right? And so from this point on, consistently, it was around 50 to 70 new patients for the whole year that I was with them until, I don't know, I left. I stopped teaching the ground marketer because they pretty much know exactly how to do it now. Mm-hmm. So it's up to them. That's that practice. And then another practice that's on a strip, a really busy strip, was also only getting like around 20 to 30 new patients a month. And the thing is that they didn't like their new patients that they were getting. It was a lot of like Medi-Cal, and they accept Medi-Cal, but they didn't want to take Medi-Cal,
Oh yeah, that's a repeating story. There are a lot of people out there that are nodding their head like, oh gosh, if I could just get out of Medicare. Oh.
Yeah. It was they had a dental consultant with them who recommended that they should start taking Medi-Cal, and then the dental consultant left, and they kind of like regretted it. They're like, why am I taking this? So my goal was to get them, above the 50 new patient mark a month, but at the same time, to get the patients that they wanted. So it happened instantly. Like as soon as you figure out your target market and your target niche, you do community research, and then you figure out where they're all at, right? And it honestly really wasn't around their location. It was probably like around 10 to 15 minutes away. But anyways, those people still were looking for a fantastic dentist who's been around for years. And so I said, you know what, there's this dentist who's been around here for 20 plus years. So I trained their ground marketer to, target this community. And instantly, just exactly like the other practices, they started saying, a couple, 20, 30 each week. And then after that, until it got to like around over 100, I know that, like 110, 115 new patients each month consistently. And now they're booked out for about 4 months out. They're always booked out 4 months out. So, and they have the new patients that they want. Once in a while, obviously, there's going to be like, Medi-Cal trickling in, which I completely understand. And I tell the ground marketers, like, look, if you bring in, if the dentist doesn't want Medi-Cal, don't bring in Medi-Cal. If you bring in Medi-Cal, you're not going to get anything from it because, the ground marketers also have incentives for reaching their goals. So if they come in with Medi-Cal, it's like, it's air. I mean, I don't want to sound mean, but to me, it's like air to me, like, it's like, okay, you brought in someone who they're not going to get paid as much. It's air, it's wasting time, but it's okay. But at the same time, you want to teach them to like lock into their brain, the ground marketers, like this is the avatar that we want. This is the target niche that we want. Go out there and get it. You know where it's at once we do the research. We just got to figure it out how to go get it. And so, yeah, we figured it out. And yeah, so for example, that practice, they're always booked out 4 months out and they're over 100 new patients, which is fantastic.
Yeah, that's amazing. You know, and again, the more you speak, the more it just clicks in my head. It's like, this is so needed in so many practices. I don't know why it's not more of an emphasis of someone in each practice. Every practice wants more new patients, but you know, I guess it's also, you know, we are in a society now where it's a lot easier to be introspective and sitting inside and not really worried about going and actually talking to people. That, you know, it's hard. It's hard to figure out how to do those types of things. So I really like your message. I really like what you're doing, guys. If Michael, if anyone else wants to hear from you or anything like that, what's a good way for them to be able to be in contact with you?
Yeah, they can just go on my website, thedentalmarketer.site, or they can also like follow me on Instagram. I'm very, very active. A lot of people talk to me one-on-one on Instagram. It's The Dental Marketer. I throw a lot of tips and tutorials. If you look at my account, it's just nothing but tips and tutorials. I mean, on there, I get a lot of messages of people telling me that I help them out a lot through that. So that way you can also on Facebook under The Dental Marketer as well.
Very cool stuff. So guys, I want you to reach out to Michael and don't be an introvert. Reach out to him and say thank you for coming on and sharing what I think is really unique advice, which I find interesting, because I would think that if we were like in the 80s or something like that this would actually be the norm compared to all the digital people. And now it's opposite. All you have is digital and you don't have any of this. So and guys, I know for a fact that this stuff does work. I've got clients that have done seminars and things like that, and they always just they just go gangbusters on it. It does really, really well. So this needs to be part of your 2017 marketing plan if it's not already. You know, Michael, thanks so much for coming on and being a friend of the podcast.
Yeah, man, no worries. Thanks for having me, man. And as far as like the ground marketing and the digital marketing, I don't want to like cause any waves in the sense like, you know, digital marketing is not needed, because, you know, you and me both know we need it now. You know what I mean? We're in that century where we need it. But it's the sense like what I feel like ground marketing kind of does a little bit more of is it gives you a face, right? Like, so for example, like I feel like it's the advertising of your dentistry as well. So what we do is, for example, like doing business without advertising is like winking at a girl in the dark, right? You know what you're doing, but nobody else does, right? So it's the same thing. I feel like the ground marketing kind of puts it out there and says like, look, this is what we're doing. And then on top of that, your digital marketing says that as well. So always keep doing digital marketing, because it's always going to keep evolving. But I remember we were even talking about it on the Dental Hacks Nation group, where we feel like there's so many like SEO gurus out there who are like saying, you know, oh, I can do Facebook ads for you guys for free and things like that. So I just feel like there's so much of that out there, and like this has been left behind big time. And honestly, like what you said, if you said how Howard went out door to door, I kind of think of like we did that now, we would almost 1 out of 3 doors we'd probably get, you know what I mean? Like someone to sign up. Like if we honestly did that, which I'm probably going to just try it out myself.
Yeah.
But
I want to hear how that goes. Just let me know how that test result goes.
Yeah. Because I want to see, because I honestly think, you know, you don't expect that anymore. You don't expect like, oh, a dentist is at my door, want any patients? I guess I'll go. You know, what can you offer me? It's more personal too. Like people are looking for personal. So I mean, I don't know. So what I'm saying is digital marketing is important. Ground marketing is just as important now as from what I've seen. I've never seen anything negative from it so far. And then, you know, obviously referrals and in-house marketing is important. And you got to understand too that marketing is completely different than selling. Marketing is like storytelling. It's still telling the story of your brand and a lot more. So yeah.
Perfect. And yeah, like you said, it's not the whole kit and caboodle, but it's a part of it. And it without it being influenced or without it being nourished, you're missing the whole spectrum is how I kind of see it. And that's what I'm saying. Like, it just, no one talks about it. No one talks about it, and no one puts an emphasis on it anymore, because it's harder, or that it's perceived to be harder. And you can't just, you know, pay some money and then put up something on a website, and then somebody clicks on it, and then you have a new patient. Like it's not as that's perceived as being easier nowadays than the other one is, and so anyway, but yeah, I think it's really smart. So guys, again, reach out to Michael, tune into his podcast, and reach out and say thank you for coming on the show and sharing some really interesting stuff. So Michael, again, thanks so much for coming on.
All right, man. Thank you so much.
A special thanks to Michael for sharing his thoughts on the untapped potential of ground marketing for your dental practice. As he says in the episode, ground marketing is hard, it's uncomfortable, but when done right by either you or someone on your team, it can make a drastic difference in your dental brand and bottom line. As a bonus for today, Michael has shared his How Many Patients Should My Practice Be Attracting checklist, which is a highly insightful series of questions to help you understand how your practice is performing with your new patient activity. So to get that bonus, simply text PRACTICE to 33444. Again, that's PRACTICE to 33444, or visit startyourdentalpractice.com/bonus if you're outside of the U.S. You'll also receive updates on the latest episodes of Start Your Dental Practice, helpful tips for owning and running a practice, and promotional opportunities direct to your inbox. So that's it for today's episode, but that doesn't mean that the learning and implementation have to stop there. I've created a free report called The 15 Numbers That Will Make or Break Your Dental Practice. This report has been downloaded over 1,000 times by dental professionals. So if you want your free copy of this report that's going to outline what the most important numbers are in any dental practice, and it also includes how to look at your numbers, how to set goals, has a whole slew of really important information that is the culmination of all of my experience as a dental CPA, then just go to startyourdentalpractice.com/free gift. That is startyourdentalpractice.com/free gift. And so that's it for today, Ambitious Dentist. Again, I'm Jonathan Van Horn, CPA and ABV. I'll see you next week with another world-class practice owner or consultant that will help you start your very own dental practice. Thank you guys so much for being a part of the Start Your Dental Practice community. If you enjoyed today's episode, please do me a favor and go to startyourdentalpractice.com/iTunes to leave your honest feedback and review on iTunes. It's going to help me create a better experience, a better show, a better podcast for you, the ambitious dentist. Your feedback really does help, regardless if you like the show today or not. If you didn't like the show, let me know, because it's going to help me create a better show and podcast for you. Lastly, if you know of anybody that would benefit from today's episode and today's content, today's guest, please feel free to share with them on social media or through email.